I think maybe if I started like my own org or something like that, I could win an award because I'm very much so community-based success. And so without that community, I don't think I'm successful.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Visionaries. I always lose track of which episode this is, but I am fairly certain that this is episode number 29. We've had a couple episodes that have been doubled on the audio feed, so it's hard to keep track. But anywho, we are joined this evening by QTCinderella, the highly successful content creator and streamer. Recently today nominated actually for Content Creator of the Year for the Game Awards, so congratulations. We're talking to QT sort of about her career and the work that she's doing with things like the Streamer Awards and her recent joining of Misfits and leaving TSM, which she had described as her dream org. And so I want to cover a lot of ground through all of this, but we'll start here. QT, how you doing?
I'm good. I actually, what's funny is I don't know why I think bad things are funny. After I got COVID over the summer, my voice was so bad that I think I like damaged it. And so now whenever I did like a 10-hour stream yesterday, now whenever I talk for a long time, my voice is like really like raspy and airy. So that's why I was a few minutes late. So I was like, I have to have tea or I'm not going to make it through. So I hurried, made some tea, but I am happy. I've got my tea in my Haunted Mansion mug and I'm ready to party.
That's great. Yeah, it's sad to hear with COVID. I also have some lingering effects.
Yeah.
I had it in April, so it's kicks all of our ass. So
it's bizarre.
Yeah.
I've thought about like going to a throat specialist just because I'm like, because I have my Christmas concert coming up and I'm a hobby singer. I'm not like I've never wanted to be a professional singer or anything like that, but I like singing as a hobby. And I was like, oh, well, let me practice a Christmas song. And I practiced one and my voice was so like, I can't even hit like basic notes. And I'm like, what happened? Like, I'm broken. And I kind of went into a spiral, but I'll figure it out. I'll be fine.
Favorite Christmas song? Do you have one?
I think Santa Baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just funny about me. I am a classically trained singer. I was part of the Atlanta Boy Choir who was and toured with them as well.
Oh my gosh.
Through Alaska. And they I think it was, well, I'm trying to remember when that film was created. Anyway, they were a part of, if you remember the choir scene in a Captain America Civil War,
Yeah.
that's the choir.
Oh my
And I was
gosh,
part
how
of that,
cool.
like probably like 10 years before they were, they were in that. But so I'm a huge music
Well,
person.
what
I
are
play piano and
your
guitar, too.
voice-saving secrets? What should I be doing to salvage this?
I mean, tea's a good start. I always found like ginger, either actually like the actual ginger is, like eating that helps too. But ginger tea is also just helpful as well. But like hot herbal teas generally very helpful. I think repetition is the biggest thing. Like it's almost it's almost like a muscle, right? If you think about it for a second, like the more you do it, the like further the further you can do it, and like basically like you break a muscle and that's why you're sore, and then you're less sore when you try to go back and lift the same weights. It's very similar to vocals, so as long as you're like doing the proper care.
Well, hopefully I hired a vocal coach and so she's giving me that stuff, but I don't know. We'll see if I spiral enough to go to a throat specialist.
ENTs are great though. Actually,
yeah.
I had no surgery done this year at one too, so I would recommend seeing one. Anywho,
anyway.
there's a portion of people that listen to this podcast that maybe aren't necessarily familiar with the people present here in Twitter Spaces, who I think mostly are just super into gaming and familiar with you. But for those not, can you sort of walk us through like what the origin story of your career as a content creator is and how you got into this, and because I think your perspective is different in the type of content that you create. And I think we're gonna talk about that. So I'd love to hear how that started.
What's funny is I was a big League of Legends fan from like, gosh, I've been playing since, I think I'm on like I've been playing for like 8 seasons at this point. I'm still in silver, which is super messed up, but
That's okay.
so I was a big League of Legends fan. I would watch League like whenever I had the opportunity. People at work would like make fun of me and stuff like that. And then I had recently lost my mom and was just kind of like super lonely, wasn't sure what to do. Like I was working my normal job, which was I was an interior designer at the time. But I'd get home from work and I'd play League of Legends, and it made me really, really happy. And then I'm the type of person that I need my candle burning on all ends. And so I was like, well, if I'm gonna waste my time playing video games, I might as well stream it, so I can at least feel productive, right? So then I just started, I was like, if Sneaky can do it, I can do it. So then I just started streaming League of Legends, and I do it so like I was pretty much streaming a full-time job. That's how much League I was playing. The cutie from my name comes from I'm a cutie pie. I'm a big League fan. I love it. I also ripped all of his jokes in the beginning, like joining, like subbing to me was joining the big dick club. Like, we he was great. He was the pinnacle to me back in the day. And so then I had a mod say to me, have you ever heard of the Raj show, right? Um may Raj rest in peace. But I was like, "No, I haven't." He's like, "I think you'd be really funny on it just 'cause I'm pretty loud and I like jokes." I think, like, my backup to streaming someday is I wanna do stand-up comedy. And so then he was like, "Oh, go on it." And so, "Oh, it seems like fun." I went on that and then just kind of ran with it. I was a theater kid all throughout my life, never had the lead. But this was kind of a moment where I played a role on that show that no one else cared to. No one else realized, like, oh, I can use this platform to like be a character, to be something that no one else is seeing. So I'd go on there and I'd be the mean girl, or the Cersei Lannister, a lot of people would say, because this was when like Game of Thrones was like at its peak.
Yeah.
And I just go on there and just make a ton of jokes and blah blah blah, and really people loved to hate me. They loved to hate me. And that's still something I deal with, I think. It's this weird thing where I was like, "Oh, that wasn't me though. That was like," it's like hating the actress who played Cersei Lannister. It's the same thing. But then from there, I just met more people, kind of got inspired to adventure into just chatting. I remember my first just chatting stream. I was like, I was, a bit of a pick me girl before then. I was like, I can't believe I'm a full cam girl, like, compared to a gamer girl, like whatever. But it was really scary at the time, because I'm a pretty insecure person. And so to have your camera so big compared to that little square at the bottom of the League of Legends map, it was just different. But I went from there, made a few friends in the industry, and just kind of did my own thing. I met Ludwig eventually, was very inspired by him. Mizkif was a big inspiration in my early career. I met Nick and Milena in the past 2 years, and Milena through ShitCon, and she was my big inspiration of like, that's the type of content I want to create. I want to bring people together because I constantly see everyone doing cool things, and maybe I don't necessarily get the invite. I kind of feel like a misfit at times.
Mhm.
And so I was like, well, if I make the things, then I'll always get the invite, right? Like I'll always be a part of it. I'll be a part of cool things, and maybe I'll help some other people that feel like they never get the invite to get the invite. And then even just represent that to a Twitch culture as a whole, because I feel as though Twitch chatters are pretty lonely at times. That's why I joined. Twitch. Was I was so lonely. It was almost like the reverse parasocial. I wanted people to talk to compared to going into chats and hoping someone will talk back to me. I just wanted to talk into the void, I guess. But I think the events that I do, and hopefully what I represent now, is just more of a broad community viewpoint. I want people to see me as the person that brings people together, because that's what makes me happy as a person. And so I'm focusing on that as much as I can with my content, as much as is humanly possible, with the size that I am. I'm not I'm not Pokimane, I'm not Ludwig. I can't like really have a massive team. So there's just two of us right now, or two. I have two assistants and myself, so three of us. Very exciting. And we're the ones that kind of work on all my events. We do our best with what we have. So that's what we're focused on the most, I suppose. And that is the longest brief of my career I could ever give you, but that's it.
In terms of those events, I mean, I think it's part of what's made your content so unique, and it's something that we, in many ways, like see people following in your footsteps in the creator industry more broadly, right? Is organizing kind of other things that are not related to gaming. I feel like a lot of creators we've had on this show start in gaming and then kind of find their way to something else,
Yeah.
similar to you. But we've seen other creators too sort of dabble in the event business and event organizing business. I mean, Ludwig was on the show pretty early on in August and was sort of teasing without saying it explicitly off brand, which he's
Yeah.
now doing that in. And we talked about some of the event work that you had done, the Beyblade tournament in particular, because that had been more recent at the time. And, now for kind of those unfamiliar, again, for that audience, like, you've organized Shit Camp, you've organized the Beyblade tournament, you've organized the Streamer Awards, which was a sight to see earlier this year. How much of that organizing these events that are more than just you, what we're doing here, you sitting in front of a camera and talking, or you sitting in front of a camera and playing video games, or you in your kitchen baking, how much of organizing those big events was out of necessity versus passion? Like, were you thinking about diversifying your content
No.
when you started doing those originally?
No, not at all. That's is 100% passion. Um, as strange as it is, I kept seeing all the other award shows, right? I think the Game Awards being the exception, um, but all the other award shows being a little out of touch. And
Yeah, I mean, there's one behind my head,
y-
so I understand. Like, I know
sorry.
I will critique them all I want. I agree. No. I agree though. Like the esports awards, etc., can actually be very out of touch when it
Yeah.
comes to creators.
Um,
I agree with you.
and it was the community that I kept seeing complain about it. Oh, this is blah blah blah. This is blah blah blah. They don't know what they're doing. Blah 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 blah. And then I was like, you know what? I could do it. Like I can just do it. So the reason I created the Streamer Wars is because I wanted to make people happy. Um, and that's what I'm so passionate about. That's what all my passion is in the entire world. So I would say one of the hardest things about being a person on the internet is you'll never fully be understood. No one cares to understand. They can kind of write you off for a comment you made or whatever, but the root of everything I've always done is to make other people happy. That's all I want to do. And my therapist would say that's not so good. I should focus on myself. But for now, that's all I want to do. So that's what created the streamer awards. That's why I did Shit Camp is I saw Shit Con with Milena, and man, the viewers, the community, they loved it. It's like the Avengers when you see Spider-Man in the same shot as Iron Man. It's so cool, right? Um
Yeah.
and so I asked Milena, I said, "Hey, can I do the sister event in LA?" And she's like, "Yeah, please. Like it'll be great, blah blah blah." And you know, um she really inspired me with that, and that was the catalyst that made me realize like, oh, I can just do this. I can do it. But the forefront of that was just making the community happy, which is funny because I don't know how closely you follow the Streamer Awards, but the backlash after the Streamer Awards of people being so mean on particularly LSF led to me taking a break from the internet, which is so funny because they were the audience that I genuinely just wanted to make happy.
I mean, I feel like part of it. I've been a reporter for 8 years now, and have had this like very interesting career arc myself. I was very hated by the League of Legends community in its first couple of years of my career, and then like beloved in 3 years after it. And at some point, I just feel like you can't make anyone happy. Like
Yeah,
you can be the best intention, you can do whatever you want to like try to cater to this audience. There's always going to be somebody that's unhappy,
true.
right? Like yeah,
It's
and
just
I guess, do you
hard.
feel like the pressure of that? Do you
Yeah.
feel the pressure of that too?
Oh,
Yeah.
it eats me alive. I've said from the beginning, you can find clips of me where I've said, "Guys, I can't go full time. I'll never make it like mentally." I know like my mental fortitude, and I could make like my clients at my old job, I can make them so happy, right? They can be happy, they can be done with the job. This, I will never be understood. I will never make everyone happy. Not everyone will like you, and it eats me up. It eats me up. It's kept me up at nights. It's driven me crazy. Um, but you just have to learn to accept it.
I guess that's the next part I wanted to ask about, was how you accept it, because it's not like everyone's unhappy, right? Like
Yeah,
you do have a very strong contingency of people that appreciate the work that you're doing, not only just your fellow peers and creators, and sort of diversifying the content that they participate in, but also the actual audience who likes these things too. And I guess like what have you found to be effective means of sort of, I guess, segmenting those things and trying to focus on the positive as much as you can?
yeah. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be able to do it without therapy. I am in therapy twice a week, which is the most that I've ever had to. But it's really just trying to focus on what's real. Um, the real relationships, the real people I need to make happy are like number one myself and my friends. And that's what I try to focus on. There are times that I lose that, and I'm reading. I literally read a stupid LSF comment today about me being nominated for the Game Awards, and they're like, "She only did one thing this year," and I'm like, "You don't even watch me if you think I only did one thing. What the heck?" But it makes me feel bad because
Yeah.
it's like, I just wish they understood me. I wish they knew, but I try my darndest not to spiral. I have stopped wholeheartedly. I don't read YouTube comments. I don't read Instagram comments. The only things I read is my Twitch chat. I really try to stay out of it as much as possible. Sometimes I slip, like today. And when
Mhm.
I do, I just have to remember how horrible it makes me feel. Because even though there are positive ones, psychologically, as a human, you are wired to want to fix things. If you see a leaky pipe, you're probably not just going to walk past it. You're probably going to grab a bucket or something, at least something, right? So, as a human, when you hear these negative comments, even subconsciously, you think to yourself, oh, shoot, maybe I should get a nose job. Maybe I'm not funny. Maybe this, even though there's 1,000 other people that say you're perfect the way you are. That stuff doesn't cause misfire in your brain. The negative comments do. And so it's just hard to remember not to dwell on those.
You mentioned the Game Awards. You were nominated today among
Mhm.
what is an extremely competitive field. So congratulations, first of
Thank
all, for the
you.
nomination. The other nominees for this award are Carl Jacobs, who maybe again for those unfamiliar is multifaceted content creator, a part of the Mr. Beast group of people, and also was a part of Dream SMP, etc. And does a lot of quality content. Ludwig as well, your
Mhm.
boyfriend, is a nominee who's was Twitch's top streamer or one of Twitch's top streamers pre YouTube deal at the end of last year. And Nabillion, who's had a incredible sort of the story's sad, but he basically quit his Twitter
Yeah.
and logged off 2 weeks ago. And has gotten a lot of sort of community support, so I wasn't surprised to see him on this list. And then Nobrew as well. And you being on that list, I think, is something that eyeball testing, as someone who covers the creator industry, knows the creator industry, is not surprising whatsoever. I think this has been everyone I talk to that knows the creator space, it very much acknowledges it's been a very banner year for your career. I guess when you think about the success that you've had this year, uh, how much of that was driven to be that way, to create that quality of content, and how much of that again is just that passion to do these things?
Yeah.
Where you have you thought about the success that you want to have for yourself
Um
more broadly?
the interesting thing is I hear that. I hear, "Oh, you've had a successful year." I don't feel that. I don't think I have. I don't think I deserve that nomination. Um I think I have done a lot of cool things. I'll acknowledge that. I've done a lot of things that other people haven't done. Um, but I guess the issue with streaming in particular is how do you define success? Overall, like in life, success is happiness, right? We can all agree. If you are successful at life, you are happy. Great. But in streaming, it's like in my world, I get really, really down on myself when I think, okay, I got 380,000 people to watch the Streamer Awards. That's crazy. But I only averaged 3K. So how did I fumble that? How am I so uninteresting that only 3,000 people want to watch me? And then Beyblade, I got 30K
Mm.
viewers. The next day I'm at 3K. I'm like, dang, I am bad at this, right? Like I don't think you can call me creator of the year when I can only be successful when I have other people. I am not successful on my own. I think maybe if I started like my own org or something like that, I could win an award because I'm very much so community-based success. And so without that community, I don't think I'm successful. I realize that I'm the glue that puts these people together and gives them this platform to do this really cool thing, like go to camp or like the Christmas concert coming up. And that's what makes me happy is doing that. But I'm not Pokimane yet. I want to be. I would be amazing. I would love to go live and be able to play League of Legends to 20K people. I would love to have that many people excited just about my desktop streams, but I don't. And so currently, sadly, my definition of success is having that large of a community ready to just adore you. They don't adore me,
Mm.
they adore my events, which is so sweet, but maybe my events could win an event of the year or something like that, which Streamer Awards has that category, so nobody steal that. Throwing that out there since some of the other award shows have stolen my categories, but whatever. But I don't believe I deserve creator of the year.
I'd be interesting to hear someone like Nate Shot speak about that, as someone who's been independently successful, but has had to sacrifice part of his independent success, individual success, to work on an organization.
Yeah.
I think it is hard, right? When you're the facilitator and you are not like necessarily, I mean, you are a successful creator in regardless,
Yeah.
right? Like
Like, that's the thing is
the met,
I'm
yeah,
complaining about being in the 0.001%, but I wanna be in the 0.0001%, and that's when I'll feel successful, right? But also
right.
content creation is chasing that pot at the end of the rainbow consistently.
Yes, and but I do think, like, again, some perspective. I think you should be proud of the work that you've done, even if it's just the cooking stream or whatever. If it's something very casual, it's still. I mean, I tuned in the other day when we were like working to book you on the show. Like, it's you had like 5 or 6 thousand people in there. Like, it's people do show up. People are interested. So, and again, yeah, you are in that top class of Twitch streamers. So there's so many people that aren't there. So, useful perspective.
Well, I appreciate it.
But I do want to ask, what do you think, like, what do you think is stopping you from hitting that next goal? Like, what do you think is the wall between you and your aspirations?
Energy. If I'm being honest, I think I can't I can't be on 24/7. Or like I don't know. Ludwig has this way of pushing live and being lit up. Those are the best streamers. Sweet Tails, I don't know if you know her. I've been friends with her for years, and only recently has she kind of caught her wind. But from day one, she is someone that she deserves 30K views. She is turns on and just tons of energy, tons of this, tons of. I am like my desktop streams. I'm just hanging out. Um, so if
Mm.
I know wholeheartedly that if I could be more energetic and more electric in that way, more charismatic, I could definitely do much better. And also, I put a lot of my energy into like right now. If I'm not streaming, I'm probably working on Streamer Awards because it's in March, or the Christmas concert that's in December, and then I have a baking I have a 7-day baking competition in January. When I'm not doing that, like when I'm not streaming, I'm doing that. So by the time I stream, I'm almost using it like I used to, where I've gotten home from work
Mm.
and I just want to hang out. And that's good for my mental, but it's bad for overall success.
Yeah, I actually personally find that balance. I've been being pushed to stream more and more myself, and I just can't. Like, it again, because it feels like work.
Yeah.
It's just hard. Like, it's because I have a billion other things to do as a producer. Like, it is really tough. So I do hear you on that on a personal level. It's a job that to me is still like, we're still in the very early stages of
Mhm.
understanding what it does to people mentally, like, and sort of how it affects them and the energy that it takes. Even the best creators, I think, like, it's not necessarily who they are all the time. Like, maybe there's a part of them,
Yeah,
right?
of
But the best
course.
creators, people like XQC, etc., like the most successful creators, are people who, like, they just amplify something of them. Like, I've been around XQC in person. He's not like that, like, most of the time.
Yeah.
But but it's a part of him that is there, and he just turns the knob and dial and cranks it to whatever, right? To be an
Yeah.
entertaining streamer.
When I think there was
Um,
a point in my career where I could do that, and it was before the events. I was really good at having a
mm.
planned like we're doing blah 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 this day, and I could go live and do the YouTube intro and and my content was great and I was growing, but I'm just the events make me happier, and so if my stream has to suffer because of it, I guess it does, but it's just that hard thing to try not to get down on yourself over.
You did make some news recently because you did join
I
Misfits,
did.
who, the Misfits has been in esports, I think, since 2017, but has pivoted more and more recently over the past couple of years more into creators. Recently launched a $20 million creator fund to help creators fund their events or companies, whatever they're doing. Before that, though, you were a part of TSM, who were one of the
Mhm.
biggest League of Legends teams of all time, certainly in North America. I mean, I went to Worlds 2 weeks ago and people were chanting
I
TSM in the
know,
crowd,
it actually
even though
kind of broke
TSM
my
aren't
heart a
there.
little bit.
Yeah. So I want to ask, in thinking through that decision, why did you decide to leave?
It was heartbreaking. Like, when I say heartbreaking, I know that sounds like, "Oh, you left an org," but no, TSM was my dream. My dream. Like, when I said I was a league girly before I ever streamed, those are the games I would fly out to California to go to. That is the merch I
Mm.
would buy. That was my keychain. It was a sticker on the back of my car. Um, I love TSM with my whole heart. Never did I dream of signing with them. Like, I remember, like, it was just so surreal. I didn't believe it until it got announced, and then I was like, "This is crazy. I can't believe it." But I had to make the choice to switch from not just a brand I love to instead a brand that loves me, that will believe in me. Because a lot of people, maybe they don't understand the point of being a content creator in an organization is a support system. You want a team. That's why you join. So I joined TSM. Right after I joined, within the week, like, Myth left, and Doublelift left, and Bjergsen left, and all of these people that, like, I was excited to have content with and do stuff with and get to know, they were pretty public about, "Hey, I'm leaving because they're not treating me nice." I don't
Mm.
wanna be a part of an org that isn't treating people well. Like, what's going on, And then a few months later, my announcement video comes out, and it's fine, but then it's just, like, consistently negative things about TSM, and it doesn't sit right with me, and I'm asking for support. Um I came up with a bunch of YouTube content ideas right after I joined. I said, "Hey, have the Valorant boys come. We're gonna do a cookie decorating competition at the TSM kitchen, blah, blah, blah." Nobody cares. Okay. Christmas time, let's do a white elephant with the whole team. It's gonna be so much fun. Like, let's get everyone and it's gonna be fun. Nobody cares. Okay. "Hey guys, I'm doing the streamer awards. I don't know if TSM wants to help in any way, but I would love to have you. Like, I'd love this to be like a joint thing if you want." Nobody cares. So you give up. There's no point in being a part of this organization. Sure, you get a paycheck. Sure, I get the brand on me that I've dreamed of, but I don't have a team. I don't have a support system. It wasn't only until they hired Dominic. I don't know if you know who that is. He was with Gen G and now he's with
Mm-hmm.
TSM. He's a phenomenal guy, and he just, when he joined, I even said to him, I said, "I think it's too little, too late." Uh, and he was like, "No, let us help you." So there was a time that I was doing a cake decorating stream and I needed a kitchen, and he was like, "Come use the TSM kitchen," and he dropped everything he was doing to make sure we could be there. Amazing. Like, even just me, and I told him, I was like, I feel, when I talked to him, I said, "I feel more comfortable going to 100 Thieves." What's it called? Studio?
Yeah,
Warehouse, I guess.
compound.
Yeah.
I think is
I
camp.
feel I
Yeah,
feel more
compound is
comfortable
the
going
word
to
I
the
use.
100 Thieves compound than I do coming to the TSM compound, and that's not okay. Like, it's sad because I want this to be my family. I want this to be my team. And he's like, "Oh, we'll work on it," and he was so great. He really did try his very best, but I just and I was gonna resign with them. We had multiple meetings. I actually we had this whole idea where we were gonna sign 5 people, kind of like an Avengers team, to TSM, and within TSM, that was gonna be our content group. And we were so excited. We had all the people, like, contracts were getting drafted up. I had made a whole plan for the entire year of TSM and our content groups ideas for each month of stuff we were going to do together for YouTube or for stream, whatever. Insane. That gets up to the tippity top right before we're about to sign contracts, and it gets shut down.
Hmm.
As that's happening,
Yeah.
I'm getting a message from Misfits, which TSM wasn't the only org. I had a lot of orgs talking to me at that time, but I had said no because I really believed that I was finally going to get my dream come true with TSM, right? But then Ben messaged me from Misfits, and I told him no at first. I was like, "I have made up my mind." They're like, "No, no, no, I cannot. Like, I've already told so many people no. I can't even entertain another idea." But the persistence and the genuineness behind the people that work at the company, something felt, just, I can't describe it besides it just felt right. It felt genuine. It felt real. It didn't feel like, "Oh, I'm going to come up with these ideas and then they're going to get shut down." And so far it hasn't been. The second that I've needed something, people, they want to help. People want to help. And that's exciting. But that was the turning point with TSM to decide to leave. and then to join Misfits was just the character and the passion behind it. They really want to
Well,
make
I think
cool
it's all.
stuff.
I was going to say, I think part of the reason it makes so much sense in sort of their business pivoting into creators more from just sort of traditional esports. We saw this year that they sold off the majority of their LEC slot and are now, they're still a minority owner, but are going to let Team Heretics functionally run that entire thing starting next year. Part of why it makes sense when you're signing all of these creators and then signing someone like you is that you just said this earlier, like you are the glue that puts everything together. You create these events that are intriguing, that are different. They're not just plain streams or just chatting, etc. And so when you have a stable of people that do that like they do and that they're building, yeah, I mean, it makes exact fluid sense why you would want someone with your area of expertise, right? Like, because not only are you a creator yourself, but you're also doing these events that are different. They are unique to the space, and you can do that for them. And I'm assuming that's part of what you've talked
Yeah.
about with them, right?
Also, I
Is
mean, something
creating
fascinating
things.
is Ben is the one messaging me. Ben is the one that wants me, the CEO of the company.
Yep.
And Reggie's the one shutting my ideas down. There's
Yeah.
a dramatic
And
difference.
to clarify for the people that may not be familiar with some of what's happening over TSM was recently started at the end of 2021, was investigated by Riot Games for reports of internal sort of what some employees called abusive behavior towards some of their employees. They went through a Riot investigation. Riot's statement, more or less paraphrasing here, was that TSM had not done anything illegal, but the sort of line between legal and ethical or not, or immoral, are not
Yeah.
always the same. So, and yeah, Reggie has certainly been less involved publicly for a reason, I
Yeah.
would say,
I
as
mean,
someone who covers
the
TSM.
sad thing is I was with TSM for a year. I didn't meet him once. He didn't care to message me, he didn't care to call me. He didn't that's the difference. That's the difference with Misfits and TSM is just the care behind the people. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm very optimistic. Um and we'll see what we can pull off. And if anything, and this is just, your girl that just came out of a place that nobody helped at all, at least no matter what, Misfits is providing funding to do the stuff that I can't do. I said before, I'm not Pokemon. I'm not Ludwig. I don't have the credibility to say, you know what, I'm gonna be able to go live no matter what. I'm gonna get 20K viewers. It's still a gamble for me. I don't know. I can't guarantee sponsors what I'm gonna get. I don't know. I had a data engineer come up with an algorithm that's pretty spot on for my events, but it's still a guess. And so that's really hard to sell to sponsors, unless we have proof of concept done. And in order for proof of concept, you have to throw the freaking thing. And if you can't afford that, that's really scary. But it's a big bet on yourself. And now with Misfits, with their creator fund, I am able to, without hesitation, just do that. Like, I've wanted to do my baking challenge forever. And I was talking with my assistant today, and I was like, yeah, we're going to have to rent out a kitchen for 7 days, and I need 7 ovens. Like, and we were like, oh, that's going to be so expensive. And I'm like, we have Misfits. So we can just do it. I can just do it. I can do it without being panicked. Of course, I want to try to find sponsors. I want to try to make it profitable, but I can now just do these things without being terrified. I can just make cool shit.
That I can hear the excitement in your
Yeah,
voice, and
it's
I'm
very
genuinely
exciting.
excited.
Like, the streamer awards was literally on credit cards. I was so betting on myself. It was terrifying, but it worked out. I broke even with the streamer awards. So that's all I cared about. A lot of people think that, like, I do these events to make tons of money. Maybe someday, sure. I would love to sell the streamer awards for $2 million every year in ads. That'd be great, you guys. But I don't. I do them as a passion project right now. Um, I usually lose money up until I think Shit Camp is the only one that I'm at a little bit, which is exciting. So I don't know.
Yeah, I wrote a long post today on LinkedIn about sort of how advertisers don't understand the creator
Mm-hmm.
space, and they're like constantly complaining it because you look at the economics of like an esports team and they make 0 cents, in the
Yeah.
sense that like they're buying kind of all this brand placement and they like get almost no conversion. There was like this very, like, I've referenced it a couple times in the show since it came out, but Devin Nash was quoted in a Dixardo article talking about a PC computer sponsor and was like, they had like 80 conversions when they sponsored an esports team. They sponsored a creator for the same amount of time and had like 1,400. And it's just like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
No.
Like there's a little bit of the work that you all do, even the event work that is like more personal, right? Like
Yeah,
it
there's a
feels
reason that
more
like
connected.
there's a reason like Streamer Awards. There's a reason I guess any of my events there's a reason I do the ad reads or a creator does the
Yeah.
ad read. Is cuz then it's unique. Like even this year's Streamer Awards only because honestly, I fumbled the bag last year and I forgot some of my ad reads. This year's Streamer Awards, I'm gonna have a different streamer that we kick to read the ads. Cause it's like I don't care to have a commercial pop up with all of our ads. We're streamers. This is what we do. This is what people are used to. But yeah, I also a big thing that people ask all the time is how does Misfits benefit from this? I think that's a really confusing to people. But helping creators is some of the best company marketing you could ever come up with, right? Like, think of everything I've
Right.
just said about TSM. No one's surprised by it. But imagine if I was able to say, I just spent the last year with them. They supported all my dreams. Streamer Awards wouldn't have happened. Beyblade wouldn't have happened. Anything I've done wouldn't have happened without them. They're my support system. I love them. Huge. What brand doesn't want to work with a team like that? That's just going to get more creators. It's going to create more cool stuff. That's going to get brand power behind it. Like, it's just, I
Yeah.
believe Misfits is in the right mindset of how orgs should be functioning.
Well, and it's about, to your point earlier too, about like selling sponsors against just you. It's about when you're able to sell like sort of an entire
Yeah.
bundle rather than it just being like a one-off thing. You know, I'm not doing it this year, but previously in the past 3 years, I ran a free agency show for League of Legends, and last year it had 300,000 viewers. And it was one of those things where it was like commercially, it's like really difficult because it's the one thing once a year, right? Like
Yeah.
it's and tacking on to just that is really hard. Where versus like what I would imagine the Misfits sales push is here. It's like, oh, we can do this against clicks, we can do this against QT, we can and QT's events, etc. Like you can build a whole bundle, a holistic bundle, pay us X number of dollars and things trickle out this way, and they can divide them but provide sort of year-round coverage on
Yeah.
everything, right? It's less about just selling against QTCinderella, the individual
Well, there's
person
a
in the
reason
events.
because I mean, one of the biggest things I thought about too before joining Misfits is everyone said to me, why don't you make your own? And I sat there and I thought about it. I thought about making my own, OTK. I could do it. I very much so could. But again, there was something about this team. There's something about the people that I met within the organization that there's just passion, there's belief, there's support. And I'm like, I can make an org whenever I want. But for now, I want to be a part of this team and this team wants me. So I guess that's what we're doing.
A few months ago, we had Brandon Freytag from the agency Loaded, who represent you on this pod, and you sent a tweet off of me because we mistakenly said that you were a millionaire.
Oh yeah.
And I laughed at it, but I'm actually genuinely surprised that you're not. Just only for the fact that uh, there are people that do the kind of work you do with much smaller numbers that are. Especially when I think about Whine About It and some of the other things that you do on audio, right? Audio is a space I'm super familiar with. The ad opportunity there is massive, way bigger than anything else. Live, it's bigger than streaming, it's bigger than YouTube, etc. I think from a commercialization standpoint, when you think about your content, other than what you were talking about earlier, that the events are the big things that you can guarantee viewership against versus the individual things that you're doing. Um, what is that next step for you commercially, do you think? Because I mean, hell, I'm stunned that you're not a millionaire, frankly.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully someday. I think eventually the goal is to, like I said, make money off of these events. That'd be awesome. But I do want to. I have to. I don't know if you know, but Wine About It is dead. I so I
What can I ask about
yeah,
that?
I do
Yeah.
genuinely love podcasting. So I do want to start a new podcast someday. I don't know who it'll be with. I've talked, Hassan and Will have talked to me about joining theirs. So maybe I'll have two podcasts at some point. I don't know. So I do want to get more into audio starting in January. This is a bit of a leak skis. Starting in January, I'm starting a new content piece on Twitch/YouTube. I'm starting a late night show. which is
That's
going to be
fun.
tons of fun, I think. So I'm just excited. I'm just excited to keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully that will attract the money. I think money has always been not really a motivator to me, but it's always come along with what I've done. So I've always been very successful at whatever field I'm in, typically like monetarily, I've been very successful because I'm passionate about it. And so the money follows. And so I believe that will happen now. Also, I don't need to be a millionaire. You know? Like I'm so happy with my current lifestyle. I don't have to be a millionaire. So I'll just keep doing what I love as long as I can afford a roof over my head and food in my mouth and things for my family, then I'm okay.
Yeah, that's okay. That's extremely refreshing to hear because a lot of I feel like we've seen a shift, thankfully for the better, of a lot of creators feel like they have to milk and like milk every sponsorship opportunity, good or bad, and to sort of self enrich as much as humanly possible in the shortest amount of time that
Mhm.
they have their 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear that that is not a motivating factor
No,
for you because yeah,
eventually no one will watch me. Eventually I won't get any sponsors. Eventually I won't have a paycheck from being QTCinderella, but I'll probably move on to something else that makes me really happy. So that's okay. As long as I have a roof over my head and food in my stomach, that's all that I need. I don't care to, make $1 million now so I can retire next year. Working makes me happy. It gives me purpose. So I think like my dad is in his 60s. He runs a landscaping company and homeboy is not going to retire anytime soon. It's what gives him purpose. We are the same, him and I. So yeah, I plan on just doing whatever my passion follows, I suppose.
yeah, that's extremely refreshing to hear. I feel similarly. I don't think I'm ever gonna not work a day in my life.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
weird.
feel you.
It's probably bad, but
It gives you a reason to get up every day,
yeah.
right? Like that's what it is at the end of the day. So we are going to take some audience questions here momentarily. I know we've seen a couple come through. If you scroll sort of the pinned tweets in the Twitter space, you'll see that we have one that says how to submit those with hashtag Visionaries podcast. So if you want to submit one, please do. Thank you for the people that already have. And my team will start reaching out to you all to put together coming up and asking.
How
But
many people are
I do want to
listening
ask
right
you.
now?
Oh,
I
that's
don't
a
know how
good
Twitter
question.
Space
I think
works.
it's what is the live number? Let's see. It's definitely more than 100.
What
Just
the
looking at this, but
heck?
yeah, super fun.
Ooh, that's
Um,
stressful.
Twitter Spaces is great. 300 says
Oh my
Brian from my team.
gosh. Hi
Yeah, so thank you all
guys.
for
Yeah,
listening. We
what
really
the heck?
appreciate you being here. I want to ask one thing. I'm not trying to cause drama here more
Oh,
broadly,
here he
but I do
goes.
want no. It's okay. I you know, you the interesting thing I find about creators, especially in the type of work you do, event work, etc., and you're not alone in doing this, doing that kind of work more broadly, is you have to maintain relationships even with people that you disagree with. And we've seen that be sort of a little bit of a difficult juggle. I mean, I remember the day that the XUC breakup happened live on stream in the screaming match. You tweeted and then deleted a couple different tweets about his behavior, which I agreed with your tweets
It's okay.
about sort of the harassment of his ex-girlfriend and being more conscious of his platform. I have no issue with X, but I agree with the sentiment. Um, I think that it's hard giving commentary. I watch Blood's Mogul Mail where he has to do this more broadly. Hassan has to do this a lot too in the type of work he does. Devin Nash has to do this as well. Giving commentary on your peers who you still have to have a business relationship with, whether it be for Shitcamp, whether it be for Streamer Awards, for any of the things that you do that obviously you would like them to participate in. How do you find that balance of being able to be critical while still maintaining a professional and respectful working relationship with some of these people?
You know what's funny is I grew up Mormon. And something about being Mormon is you hold each other accountable, like kind of in a weird, gross way that I don't think normal humans do. But like, if someone showed up late to church, you just say, "Hey, you showed up late to church. Like, what's going on?" And you kind of like talk about it. And since I was raised that way, I haven't had too hard of a time navigating these issues. Like, as soon as I tweeted that out, the thing I was thinking of first was my friend. first and foremost. Also, women on the platform, the way that, um, we have a bit of a glass ceiling, and it's hard to think like in that situation alone, um, if 10% of his audience went to harass her, it's about 10,000 people. If 10% of her audience went to harass him, that's about 100 people, So like let's be responsible with those numbers because that's terrifying. And so everyone's human, everyone's emotional, and in the moment I'm so frustrated, and so I just send it out, and then X gets upset by it, and so the first thing I do, I message him and I say, "Do you want me to delete? Do you want this?" And he's, "Yes." We come to an agreement. We talk it out. So yes, at first I usually react emotionally. 9 times out of 10, cuz I'm a human, but I'm getting better at this, admittedly. I'm getting so much better since that situation alone. Um, because of my consistent therapy, I attribute it to, but that was a big one that I was like, "What am I doing?" Like, and then my therapist literally had to say to me, they're like, "If this was your friends, like your friends that you are at a barbecue in a backyard to, and they're having a loud breakup and they're arguing with each other, are you tweeting about it?" And I was like, "No." She's like, "That's your problem. You're chronically online. No one like, yes, you can have opinions on things. You can hold people accountable publicly. Um, but should you when it's not life or death, right? Obviously, if there's a predator of some kind or someone is sexist, um, I'm going to stand against them vocally, and use my platform wisely there. But I have had to learn that some things are just better in the DMs, and that's even something like, there's been a lot of things that I disagree with that I've had to deal with. I've dealt with privately that people don't know. Because people will come in my chat and they're like, "Why didn't you say anything about this? Like, why didn't you say anything about this? Why didn't you say anything about this?" And I was like, probably because I didn't react emotionally and instead actually talk to the person. And I'm keeping that private because that's what's appropriate. Um, so I have learned overall just to shut my goddamn mouth. I'm just shutting it and handling it. Like I'm going back to my old Mormon self, and I'm just keeping them accountable, and I'm telling them how I feel instead of blasting it out into the pixels.
I mean, you're speaking to a journalist. I don't know if I fundamentally agree with that,
You
just
can't,
because
yeah.
no, I mean, sort of now am creating content on YouTube, etc., like this show, and to me, it's about calling balls and strikes. I can simultaneously respect someone that comes on this show and completely fundamentally disagree with
Yeah.
them, right? Like, I am a noted critic of XQC, and he had agreed to come on the show and had to cancel because of a double booking from his manager. I still want him on the
Yeah.
show. He's still going to be invited on the show, even if we disagree on a lot of the things that he does. It's like, I can both respect him at the same time and be a critic and call the
Yeah.
balls and strikes as I see them, right? Like,
I
and
also think,
I don't know if there's enough of that in the streaming community, to be fair,
yeah,
which
there
is why I
isn't.
appreciate when you have
There
said
isn't.
things.
But the issue with that, and unfortunately, I'm gonna play this card, which a lot of people get mad about whenever I say this. I'm a woman. I'm a lady, and when I am vocal, I get much more hate than males in this industry. I get called much harsher names. I get told to stop putting my nose in. I'm a drama queen. I'm a bitch. I'm a cunt. I'm a blah blah blah. When a guy does it, it's entertaining, right? When Miskiff is on the phone with Slicker, everyone thinks this is the cup of tea. If I were to do that, I'm inserting myself. Um,
Mm.
so unfortunately, as much as I will continue to um vocalize where appropriate. Like I said, when it comes to sexism on the internet, when it comes to predators, things like that. But I am no longer going to participate in public discourse in that way because it has just led to too much hate. That talking to peers, there's a reason Pokey doesn't comment on stuff like that. There's a reason that so many other female streamers are just quiet. It's not worth it. It's not worth saying, man, that guy's being a jerk, just to be then
Yeah.
dragged, right? Like something as simple as that guy's being a jerk. You become the monster for saying that. And so it's more important to keep my opinions to myself, and everything's temporary too. I genuinely believe that. I think everyone's human. I believe people can change. So maybe someone is a jerk today. In a few months, they probably won't be. So let's just be quiet until then. or if they are that big of a jerk, if they did personally offend me, then let me talk to them personally.
Yeah, that's fair, and that is a dynamic that I'm glad that you spoke about here now,
Yeah.
because it is different. And it's important to point it out. So thank you for doing so. I think the other part too is that uh, I hope that the streaming industry gets more accountable. I'm hopeful about it,
Mm-hmm.
to be frank, because I think that there was a world, and it's sort of, as our industry pivoted away from esports more to creators, that there were a lot of creators doing some really awful and horrible
Mm-hmm.
things, and no one said
Yeah.
anything. Makes me at least a little bit more hopeful
Yes.
that people like Hassan and Ludwig and yourself exist and do say something when there's a moment to call it and call the balls and strikes as they are. That so I think it's gotten better from
Yes,
that
it
perspective.
definitely
I hope
has.
that there will be I hope there will be more people, because that accountability is much needed. And again, there's a difference between critiquing the act someone does and the act and the person themselves, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's also the other thing. It's like you can respect someone but disagree with
I
what
think
they
that's
did.
something that
So
really frustrates me in the space is when people do hold something against somebody when they're otherwise a good character. Like if they are a good character in everything through and through and they make one mistake, you're human. Forgive them.
yeah,
Like viewers, people that participate in this content, forgive them. If they're a bad character and they are just, they're doing this repetitively, they're constantly being a bad person, sure, virtue signal then, dig the hole that you want to put them in, whatever, but let's have some humanity in this industry and realize like depending on the level of the mistake, like let's forgive. You can forgive celebrities. And the thing about that is celebrities are trained. Celebrities have probably made these mistakes. Like um but they are PR trained. They know not to speak on it. They have also probably signed NDAs so people legally can't talk about it. People not even outside of celebrities, people have made mistakes. And so but us streamers were put on this platform without any tools. None of us have representation that give us PR training. None of us have someone behind us with NDAs for anyone that comes to a house party. Who knows? It's terrifying.
yeah,
But I use house party as a reference. I had a house party at TwitchCon and somebody fell through the roof. And so I always think about that every time. But anyway, yeah, um I don't know. I just wish people could see some humanity um when it comes to just the littlest mistakes. I've been canceled for the craziest things that it's just like number 1, I just had a human moment, right? Like let's just otherwise I'm a good person. I really am. So let's forgive and move on instead of there's people that still talk about random stuff that I said even 3 years ago and it's like, "Geez, then just don't support me and that's
yeah.
fine. If you genuinely don't think that I'm a good person, that's fine."
Well, it's also the learning in public, which is unique to micro
Yeah.
celebrities, I guess is the
Oh, it
appropriate word,
is.
right? Like, yeah, you have to learn. You have to learn in while being burned doing
Yeah, and
so. You
everybody
can't learn in a
judges the
closed
way you learn.
environment.
Everyone judges the way that you can make a genuine apology, and that can be picked apart word by word. Your punctuation. Oh no, she meant this. She used an exclamation point. What? I've never had one. I'm just sorry. Like it's one of the most terrifying things of this industry to see happen.
For
When it's
sure.
an otherwise good
Well, we'll get to
character, I will say. If it's someone who just keeps freaking being creepy to girls or keeps talking to 16-year-olds or like obviously that is a different scenario, but
correct.
I'm saying one person makes a bad joke, forgive them. Like move on.
And as divided as the internet is, actually, a lot of the people that do those horrible, awful things actually do have a crowd that does continue to support
I know
them.
that
As
is
someone who's
true
had
and
to
it is
report on those people,
terrifying, but whatever.
correct. So, so we'll end on this from me, and then we do have at least one audience question. I'm sure more will come up as we go. But you mentioned, I don't remember you saying this before, and I apologize if you had. I know you'd referenced it, but you said that Whine About It is dead.
Mhm.
And I want to ask, rather than recast Maya, and again, I should explain this for the audio on demand people that aren't familiar with the situation. During earlier this year, there was some controversy around gambling on Twitch, and the streamer Trainwrecks accused several people, including Maya Higa, who was a guest on this show very early in this podcast existence, as well as her ex-boyfriend Miskiv, of allegedly covering up sexual abuse, which Maya denies that she did. Maya has since apologized for her involvement in that situation, and said that she would be disconnecting from the internet for the foreseeable future, and has gone dark since. For those again unfamiliar, QT hosted a podcast with Maya called Whine About It. I believe it was once a week or close to once a
Once a
week.
week.
And rather than trying to salvage it with all its success, I mean, it's very successful Apple Podcast feed, etc., which is very hard to build as someone who works in the audio space.
Yeah.
What is the decision to just kill it and move on?
It's not my decision. My only option is to respect her decision. I understand what she's been going through, and all I can do is support her choice. I'm again devastated over it. It's it's not only a podcast, it's a big thing in our friendship. And it's really hard. I'm a transplant. I'm not from California. I don't have very many friends here, and the streamer industry is a very isolating place. And she was my person. She came here once a month. We filmed the podcast. It was an outlet. It was very successful. It was doing more than just being a podcast. It represented women in the space doing something sick.
Yep.
And being good at it and being successful at it. And guys watched our podcast. It wasn't just for girls, and we were just funny, and it was good. And so I'm sad, but I can't understand everything she's been going through by making one bad decision of going to somebody's house. And that was the one bad decision. And that sucks. It's really awful. And but there's accountability that she is holding herself to, and I respect that.
That's fair. Yeah, thank you for answering that. I appreciate it. Our first audience question is going to be from Ethan Garcia. This is a much more lighthearted question about League of Legends. About League of Legends. Ethan's a former colleague of mine who covers League and other things at .esports. So if Ethan wants to come up and ask, I believe my team has invited you to do so.
So you've been a staple part of the League community for a number of years now, and you've obviously vocalized how passionate you are about League and its professional scene, and even just the game itself. And you've also been featured at a number of the events, particularly this year, the LCS Championship and even Worlds. Would you consider in the near future, even though we know you have things planned like the Christmas concerts and all the stuff happening next year with the streamer awards and stuff like that, would you consider holding a League event yourself in the future, especially now that the game is, seeing a resurgence, as we're seeing a lot of streamers who may have partaken in it, in the past, slowly get into it with, the hype of Worlds still kind of existing?
I would love to, but I think I'm too dumb to. So the events that I throw, they're parties. I know how to plan a freaking party and put a camera in the room in a way that's going to be entertaining. I think Emiru's League of Legends tournaments are like so fun, and I think they're the greatest. I wouldn't know how to do one. I would love to do one. I would love to be more a part of the League community in whatever way they would accept me. My goal for 2023 is I want to at least one game. Riot, let me do it. I want to be like the after game interviewer, like the on stage. That's like my goal. I want it so badly. I've probably messaged every person that works at Riot, like being like, "What do you need? You want a film reel? I promise I'll do great. I'll be, because it's just like a dream that I want to come true. But I don't know if I will throw my own tournament just because I don't know how.
I feel like there are event organizers, maybe some listening to this pod, certainly ones that listen on AOD, because I talked to them about it, that should take you up on the opportunity, like, that know how to run those things and have ran League tournaments before. But that actually sounds really exciting. It's funny how many of us come from that background. I mean, I started my career in League. There have been other people that have started their career in League here and don't do it anymore. So we'll end on that. I just want to ask about sort of the active decision to move away from games, because it's something that we've not talked about really all that much in this pod. We breezed earlier that you've done more just chatting recently, but in terms of making the choice to go from, you know, streaming video games very specifically to doing sort of more diversified content, baking or just chatting or whatever it may be. Why is that? Why have you like not tried to do more gaming content?
That
And what's the decision behind that?
is simply the viewership. It is, I still play quite a bit of games. Like I play, you could look at my league. I still have many, many hours in league. I'm really into Parkitect. I go through Parkitect phases, and I played a lot of Parkitect the other day. I will try to save gaming for the end of my stream, so then the plummet doesn't hurt my soul as much. But it's just that annoying numbers game that every streamer plays. You know, if I'm in just chatting, doing something high energy for a YouTube video, I will have more viewers, and then once I switch to the game, they drop. And so that's why it's not due to that one's not due to passion or happiness, because I could play League of Legends for 20 hours a day, and I could do that on stream every day if my viewership would stick with it, but they will not do that.
It's so interesting to me as someone who consumed Justin TV content at the end of the aughts that what was popular on Justin TV, not gaming, it mostly is like, but then, you know, went away from Twitch when they pivoted into being Twitch specifically, and now it's back to being the most popular thing.
Yeah.
Like just chatting is the biggest category, so I always find that really intriguing. But thank you, QT, so much for joining us on the show. We appreciate having you here. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we hope everybody has a great rest of your evening. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching Visionaries on YouTube. For more content, please subscribe to the Overcome channel.